Hi, Elizabeth. I heard from my son. He told me your father passed away.
Hi, Angela. That's right. He passed away so peacefully last night when all the family members were there for him by his bedside.
I see. That's such a relief. It might even be a blessing.
I'm sorry? What kind of blessing are you talking about?
I heard battling cancer is so painful and distressing. Wouldn't it be a blessing if he passed away without going through painful treatment? It may be difficult for you, but there are times when you might wonder if it would be better if a loved one were to pass away quickly rather than to go through a prolonged period of suffering due to a serious illness. In this case, your father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a notoriously difficult disease to treat, and the idea of going through chemotherapy, surgery, and hospitalization may seem overwhelming and unbearable. I had a cousin who was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Thyroid cancer is known for its good prognosis, but cancer was cancer after all. She didn't end up dying. She's doing rather fine, but she still had to go through a series of chemotherapy and hospitalization to get better. Now it's been years since she was diagnosed with cancer, but she still needs to get checked out and see her doctor on a regular basis. Seeing her going through such a painful time was stressful for me even. Not to mention family members, especially your mother. Your mother would have been the primary caregiver to your father, right? Dealing with a serious illness like cancer can be a very difficult and stressful experience, not just for the patient, but also for her. She'd be responsible for managing appointments, medications, and other aspects of your father. The physical, emotional, and financial toll can be overwhelming for the entire family. In particular, caring for a cancer patient can be a full-time job that requires a lot of time, energy, and resources. It's unfortunate that your father had only 1 month left, but on the bright side, it may be good for all of you.
While that might be true, my family still have so much sorrow for letting my father go so suddenly. My mom was not emotionally prepared, and she's struggling a lot after suddenly losing my dad. She'd prepared herself for the difficulty of caregiving, and she hoped that she could take care of him even if it meant she'd have a hard time herself, just so that my dad could live any longer. They were known for being lovebirds. My mom is going through a great sense of loss after my dad's sudden death, as he was a good friend to her all of her life.
As people age, they tend to develop a greater sense of acceptance when it comes to life and death. However, it seems that your mother has yet to fully come to terms with the loss of your father. I guess she's still so innocent, isn't she? And lovebirds, it's pretty uncommon for older couples to still act like lovebirds when they're no longer young. The common reality of our age is to kick husbands out of the room because wives don't want to be bothered by their husbands. I find it pretty funny that your mother is still so smitten with the man who's past the age of 60 and even has grandchildren.
What do you mean she's so smitten with the man? She was close to her husband, not some strange guy on the street. Is that something appropriate to say to your in-law who just lost her husband? It's more surprising to me that you can casually utter such vulgar words at your age. I feel quite uncomfortable listening to your words. Do you think it's okay to criticize a happy couple just because you're having trouble in your own marriage?
Jeez, look at you attacking me for talking about your mother. I feel so sad for not having a daughter. It can be very awkward for me when you react so strongly to something I said without bad intentions. Don't worry too much about the careless words of an old lady and just focus on sending your father off peacefully. You must be going through a difficult time after losing your father, and I apologize for giving you hard times on top of what you've already gone through.
Okay, I'll get going now to get ready for the funeral.
Wait a second, Elizabeth. I understand that what I'm about to ask might make you feel uncomfortable, but you know I'm the type of person who can't keep it to myself when I'm curious about something. Since your father worked at the bank for his entire life, I assume he received a substantial retirement package and also left behind a considerable inheritance, am I correct? I know that bank employees get the best retirement package.
Why do you need to know that when someone passed away? Do you think it's appropriate or necessary to ask about how much money the deceased left behind before his funeral?
I'm asking for the sake of you and your husband. You guys still live in an old apartment, not even a small townhouse. Don't you think inheriting a significant sum of money could potentially allow you to move into a nicer home near Marie's school? Marie won't have to spend more than an hour only to commute if you could move to near her school. Your father left at least $5 million, didn't he?
He likely left at least that much, if not more, since he was interested in investing.
Is that so? Thank you for letting me know. I'll take good care of Marie, so don't worry about anything. Please focus on your father's funeral.
Hello, I'm a housewife with a 9-year-old daughter and have been married for 10 years. While my husband is nothing like his mother, my mother-in-law, who's in her mid-60s, doesn't seem to have a good sense of financial management compared to other women of her age. Despite her husband working hard and providing his entire paycheck for the family all his life, she spends money on something not necessary and invaluable as soon as she gets it. And she and her poor husband still struggle to pay rent at their age. Their relationship has also been poor due to her bad habit of spending everything she has, which ultimately led her credit card debts to pile up. After her husband retired and started working as a security guard, she claims that their income had decreased, and she started asking my husband to lend her money. She started calling me every few days to inquire about various things about my father's situation after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer a month ago. Although it made me uncomfortable at the time, I didn't say anything since it wasn't a big deal. But now, just a day after my father passed away, she contacted me again, mentioning his inheritance. It was frustrating to receive such a message when I was still grieving. I was pretty upset and she contacted me again only a few days later before my disappointment went away.
How's it going with your father's inheritance? What process do you have to go through?
I had to see the lawyer and have conversations with my mom and brothers. My father left a clear will about how to deal with his assets, so there was no problem following his instructions. The funeral went well and his articles were taken care of as well.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. The inheritance must have been deposited into your account, right? How much did you receive? You know what? I'll head to your home right now. I'll take a look myself and take money immediately.
What do you mean? Why would you take a look at my account and take money from it?
Look at you. You're acting like you're not part of our family. That means I've just as much of a right to that money as you do. When you were young and received pocket money from relatives, didn't you give it to your mother? Isn't it the same thing? I'm just offering to handle things for you since you're busy with work, household chores, and childcare. What's wrong with that? You should rather be grateful to me. What's with this attitude?
I'm not a 6-year-old anymore. Why are you comparing it to my childhood?
To a parent, children always seem to be little kids. You guys seem to be little kids who don't have any idea what's going on to me. So it worries me to let you have that kind of big money. So here I am. I'm gonna manage your money on behalf of you for your sake. Why would you find it unpleasant?
You seem to be worrying unnecessarily. There's nothing that I couldn't handle, and it would be better if you didn't get involved with the inheritance anymore. It's my family's money, so it has nothing to do with you. Please stop talking about it.
Why are you being so immature? If it's your asset, it means it also belongs to my family, which means it's mine. Don't you get that? Don't you understand? Everything you have belongs to my family as long as you're married to my son.
I'd expect that way of thinking out of a middle schooler, not someone your age. I'm not your slave who was sold to you. Every little thing I have belongs to me and you're not entitled to anything, not even a penny of it. It's ridiculous you're saying a load of crap as if it's the truth. You make me speechless.
How is that a load of crap? Doesn't your daughter have my family's last name? Her name is Marie Atkinson, not Marie Rhodes. Even your name is Elizabeth Atkinson. That means you belong to my family, and that doesn't change even after you're dead. This all comes back to the fact that everything you have belongs to my family and ultimately me. How many more times should I repeat myself? Why can't you understand what I'm saying when you're still so young?
Why can't you understand what I'm saying? You're not even at an age where you can't understand what others are saying. I've told you so many times that the money my father gave me is mine. It may belong to my husband if I decide to be generous, but never to you. Why does a complete stranger like you covet the money that my father worked so hard for his entire life? I know you like money, but you can't just take someone else's like a thief. I'm not stupid enough to just stand by and watch you take my money. There's no point in wasting any more time on this absurd conversation, so I'll excuse myself now.
No, wait, hold on, Elizabeth. Okay, fine, I understand. If you say you don't want me to manage your assets, that's fine. I have no other choice but to agree with you as an older person. Then, how about you just lend me about $50,000? I'll never bring up your inheritance ever again if you can do that for me. I'll make sure to repay you, but I can't offer interest. Be generous and lend me your money for no interest. Oh, don't tell my husband that I asked.
Why would you need such a large amount of money? What are you going to do with it?
You don't need to know that. It's none of your business why and how I'm going to spend the money. All you need to do is let me borrow your money. Can you do that for me?
No, I can't. You're right, that is none of my business how you're going to spend your money. But this is my money we're talking about. You're asking to borrow money from me for a large amount, and I need to know why you need it. I'll pretend as if your request never happened if you don't want to talk to me. I'll get going.
Hold on, not so fast. I was going to tell you, darling. Promise you're gonna send me $50,000 if I tell you what's going on.
Let me hear it.
I bought a car, actually. I got a Lexus ES.
A Lexus ES? Why would you need a car, especially a luxurious one? Did you have such a large amount of money to afford a Lexus ES?
No. How in the world would I have such a large amount of money? I borrowed from a loan shark. That's why I'm asking to borrow your money. Their interest was so high, but I thought I'd be able to pay them back in time. But now I'm not sure if I could even be able to pay the principal. What am I gonna do now? They're threatening me to pay at least the interest. Otherwise, they're gonna barge into my house and get their money in person. Then my husband will realize what's going on, but I can't let that happen. He can't know about it because he's gonna kick me out of the house for real. So please, I'm begging you to send me the money so I can pay them. They gave me 3 days to pay them, and I need to pay $5,000 just for the interest.
What was that again? You borrowed from a loan shark? I'm sorry to say this, but are you out of your damn mind? How could you even think of taking out a loan from a loan shark at that age without being afraid? Do you have the ability to repay it, or are you prone to such reckless behavior?
Watch your mouth! How can you be so rude when talking to your mother-in-law? Even if you feel I'm a joke, I'm the mother who gave birth to your husband. How can you make me feel so foolish? Do you think I took out a loan from a loan shark without any plans? And is it normal for you to receive $5 million in inheritance from your father, but not be able to give even a tenth of it to your mother-in-law? Don't you know the law of the tithe, where you give a tenth of your income to God? If you had money, couldn't you use it to help your mother-in-law? I didn't even ask for a gift. I asked to borrow it and promised to repay it. But you couldn't even do that and treat your mother-in-law like an idiot. Is this how your mother taught you to treat your mother-in-law? Don't you know that your parents will be blamed for your rude behavior?
So you were planning to take my father's assets and make them your own from the beginning, even when I had no intention of doing so. Angela, it's called theft to take something that doesn't belong to you, which you're trying to do right now. It's my money, but somehow you thought it was yours and planned to take it and fearlessly bought an expensive car? Why should I give you a tenth of my money when all you try to do is take money from me instead of giving it to me? It's wrong to insist that I should give money to you. If someone who is not God tries to receive treatment as if they were God, God becomes angry and punishes them. Haven't you heard of blasphemy?
What did you say?
I'm telling you I have no money to pay for your loan from the loan shark, so you should cancel your car immediately.
What cancellation are you talking about? I've been driving it for a month. There's no way I can return or cancel the car. The only way is to sell it on the used car market. But it'll cause me so much loss if I do that. How come you're not aware of that when you're a young folk? I knew you were not smart enough, but you're so pathetic.
Did you say you bought the car a month ago?
Yes, that's right. I bought the car as soon as I heard the news of your father being diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. I bought it in advance because I was certain that the inheritance would eventually come. Frankly, it was a bit surprising that it took a month for him to die because cancer patients with terminal pancreatic cancer could die within a few days. If he had died a little earlier, I would have received the inheritance sooner and wouldn't have had to deal with debt collection.
Are you saying you were hoping for my father's assets and were waiting for him to pass away? That's really the worst. It's just so disgusting. You have aged so ungracefully and ugly. You don't know how to earn a single penny, but you're so good at spending it. And in the end, you're just an old lady who covets other people's money.
What the hell? How dare you say such words to my face? Don't you know how to respect your mother-in-law? Don't you think it's only right for you to share that glory with me if you've received a lot of money for free? All of my friends drive spacious cars, and I'm the only one to drive a compact one. Doesn't that break your heart? They brag about how their son and daughter-in-law buy them nice cars and clothes, but I have nothing to say. Is it so wrong for me to ask you to fulfill your duty as my daughter-in-law this time when you have an opportunity?
What's wrong with the Civic? I also drive a Corolla to commute, and the car is just an instrument to commute. It's nothing more than that. But you spent $50,000 just to show off to your friends? Do you think that makes sense?
The car is $40,000. I spent the rest of the $10,000 to buy luxury goods, including bags, coats, and shoes. So what I'm saying is, it's not wrong to want to wear and carry luxurious things where I'm still young enough to enjoy them, because no matter how nice the goods are, they lose their luster as I get older. As a fellow woman, you should understand what I'm talking about.
No, I don't understand what you're talking about at all. My mom is financially much more comfortable than you, yet she has never bought a luxury bag in her life. But why do you need a $40,000 car and luxury bags and coats when you still rent a small apartment? I don't understand why a housewife needs such expensive things.
Wow, I've lived too long. I never knew I'd be insulted by my own daughter-in-law for being poor. How dare you lash out at me like that when I'm the one who gave birth to your husband? Do you think he won't mind your snake-like wicked words towards me when he finds out about it?
He's right next to me right now, reading through these texts with me. He's apologizing profusely for having a foolish and inadequate mother. He's apologizing on your behalf for causing trouble with money and being covetous towards her in-laws' assets. Aren't you embarrassed and apologetic that all you can bring to your son is shame and humiliation instead of honor and dignity as a mother?
What did you say? Are you sure he said those things? That's unbelievable. That's why people say they don't need sons. They say a smart son belongs to the country. A son who makes a lot of money belongs to the mother-in-law. And only a poor son belongs to his own mother. How dare you treat me like a beggar just for a mere $50,000 when you inherited a fortune of $5 million? How much regret and sorrow will you feel, and how much will you cry and repent after I die? It's so shameful.
I've never received a $5 million inheritance. I gave up my share of the inheritance so that my mom could receive all of my father's inheritance. My mom is only 60 years old, and I think she will easily live for another 30 years. My father's inheritance was something that my parents had saved up their entire lives, so it's appropriate for my mom to manage it. If she spends it all and there's something left over by the time she passes away, then I plan to inherit it.
Is that true? How could your mother not give you a single penny if you gave up your share of the inheritance? Your mother must be very greedy. Did she go crazy over getting such a large sum of money all by herself? What's the point of keeping the money in the bank for such a low interest rate? If she has money, she should spend it on her child. That's what being a parent means, isn't it?
I don't want to hear such words from you when you haven't contributed anything to me and my husband as his mother. I'll achieve everything through my own efforts and hard work, and I won't engage in any behavior like coveting my in-laws' money and trying to steal it to buy luxury goods.
Then how am I supposed to pay back the loan that I borrowed? It all happened because of you guys, so you should pay for it. I'm sure you have some money saved up since both of you are working. If it's not enough to cover the whole $50,000, at least pay for the interest of $5,000 for now. There are only 3 days left.
Why should we exhaust the hard-earned money we saved penny by penny to pay off your debt? We don't have any spare money to give you, so you should take care of your own problems. Oh, and don't even think about asking for favors from my husband. I handle all the finances in our household, and my rights to our household finance are absolute. My husband wouldn't give you anything anyway, even if you beg him to give you money, because he's fed up with you.
What the hell did you say? You're the worst, aren't you?
The same goes for you. I assume that there's nothing more to say, so I will excuse myself now. After what happened, my mother-in-law repeatedly asked my husband for money, but he firmly refused. She couldn't repay her loan eventually and had to confess to her husband and ask for help. Tired of his wife's extravagance and vanity, my father-in-law immediately declared divorce, but she refused to agree to it, so they're currently separated. She eventually gave up her pride and started working in a restaurant kitchen, being unable to even receive living expenses from her husband and chased by loan sharks. However, despite being a full-time housewife all her life, she didn't have good skills and was quickly fired, and she's now wandering from place to place. It's pathetic and sad to think that if she'd saved and made a living with what her husband provided, she could have had a carefree retirement by now. Now that she's rejected by her husband and son, I hope she'll regain her senses and repay her debts in an orderly manner while living a faithful life.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more videos.